Hey everybody, welcome to the latest episode of Wonder Woman Says. Before I get started tonight, I just wanted to say I watched the Batman movie with my fiance who's holding the camera right now. I gotta say, it's definitely worth seeing even though it's pretty long, but it's unlike any Batman movie you've ever seen before. I will say the Riddler was just something else in this movie. I like too how they how they showed the penguin in this movie as well. I think it was really well done. I'll admit it might take a while for some people to get into it just because the movie's so long, but once you get into it, it doesn't let up at all. I recommend you to go see that movie. I think you'll like it, especially if you like the Nolan Batmans. This movie's just like that, but it's even darker.
I actually thought it was kind of interesting because I'm a huge fan of the Zodiac Killer. Don't take that out of context. And I got that they were dressing the Riddler like the Zodiac just from the previews, but they actually kind of made him into the Zodiac. Like he's got ciphers and, he's sending greeting cards with codes in it. It was kind of interesting. Weird choice, but interesting.
Yeah, when, I wasn't thinking about that when I was watching the movie, but now that you bring that up, I can definitely see that comparison. Like I said, it's unlike any other Batman movie that's came out before. This is just something pretty much new. I might even go and say it's one of the best Batman movies ever. I think it's easily the best one since The Dark Knight, that's for sure. I really hope the sequel continue the path that it's on because I think it got something great going on now.
All right, so what comics we reading today?
Uh, I know last week I was very fortunate to see this on the shelf. I knew I was going to read this just from the title alone. I will say Miles Morales has really become a very great character in such a short time period. Can't wait for Into the Spider-Verse 2. I love the first one.
And you didn't think you were going to like it.
Well,
Hey, it's cartoon. I really like cartoons.
well, I guess I'm wrong sometimes. Anyway, the issue starts out, of course, showing Steve Rogers, the actual Captain America, how he became Captain America. But then we start to see how the events on this universe, so to speak, how they begin to unfold. Miles' dad and uncle on a military base, they all live there. Turns out his uncle has the secret serum that transforms Steve Rogers into Captain America. But as we will soon see, Miles got the serum this time, and it actually worked too. He finds himself getting strong in a very short period of time. Of course, his uncle, thinking he's gonna get into trouble, actually gets off with a slap on the wrist because the serum actually worked for the first time in decades. Now Miles Morales is Captain America. Of course, on a mission, see the Black Widow, presumably operating for the Soviets, pretty much gunning the plane down. And Captain America, aka Miles Morales, is unable to save his uncle.
Is he still the Prowler in this version?
Actually, I think he's gonna become that like in a later issue. Now, of course, Captain America does battle with some agents that are operating on behalf of the Gray Skull. That's what they call this story's Red Skull. And lo and behold, his girlfriend is the Falcon in this issue. I really think this takes some really interesting directions.
Well, apparently it's a crossover with He-Man. He's doing Grayskull.
Yeah. Then at the SHIELD outpost, you see Nick Fury and Captain America and the Falcon discussing the details of this next mission that they're about to embark on. Then we see the Gray Skull for the first time in this comic book. Turns out they're trying to make a gateway to the quote-unquote multiverses. Then we see a pretty humorous scene where Miles is on a live chat with his parents. Parents tell him how proud they are of him, how much he's accomplished in such a short time period. Of course, unbeknownst to his parents, his girlfriend come in the room. Miles decides to end the call because he don't want to tell him that he's been dating somebody. But then, turns out Captain America and the Falcon have to go to this AIM station to prevent a what's the word I'm looking for?
Sabotage?
Yeah, to prevent a sabotage. Also, unrelated note, I'm really gonna read this too. Love that advertisement. Well, as the battle happens, this is the gateway to the multiverse that they're trying to open up.
Looks like a boom tube.
Well, I could go some more, but I don't want to spoil the ending to it, though. Because, you know, this is a new comic. Plus, the next issue's coming soon as well. I really do like how they switched a lot of characters around. We used to Miles Morales being Spider-Man, but in this alternate universe, he's Captain America instead. I'm going to say at the end, something very interesting happens too that's going to open up the gateway for the next issue in this mini-series.
Is it Skeletor?
Well, I can't really give away what happens, but just have to read and find out.
It's definitely Skeletor. Alright, so out of 10.
I have to probably give this a 9.5. I'm glad to see What If is coming back. I've always loved the What If stories. I'm glad Marvel actually did this because I think this is a long time overdue. I hope it opens the gates for an actual What If series to continue again. Especially now they got their What If cartoon going. I really like that book. I can't wait to see what the next 4 issues are going to bring.
Alrighty, so what's our next book? Blast from the Past Time.
Well, I think when I'm about to review part 1 of one of the best stories I've ever read, definitely probably the best story Marvel ever published in the 90s. Of course, I'm talking about Live, Free or Die. This story is just so good. I was hooked almost from page 1. Even though my only frustration with it, they had to pretty much present the story across 4 different titles, so that made it kind of hard to locate. But I got all 4 of the issues, so it's no biggie now. So we ended up starting out on this planet that was supposedly destroyed by the Avengers in a much earlier issue than this one.
Apparently by Oreos.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I see this. Yeah, I love them cookies.
Was that a fold-out under the cover?
Oh yeah, it is. Oh yeah, they used to have these back in the late 90s. They kind of give a summary of what's going on, some of the characters that are involved in the story or have been involved in the story.
I remember those. They were so helpful.
Yeah, I don't know why they stopped doing it. But anyway, the aliens of this planet vow revenge on the Avengers, and they vow revenge against the Earth. Of course, Iron Man is on his way to Boston to go pay a visit to Carol Danvers. Of course, he comes up to Carol's room. They end up talking about the past, specifically her past. Tony senses something wrong with her too.
Is this before or after she was an alcoholic?
Oh, this is during.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so they both have a problem.
Yeah. Actually, are we talking about Tony?
Well, Carol was an alcoholic too for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, this story's pretty much the culmination of that. Well, she starts talking about her past as Miss Marvel and starts talking about how she was that other person.
Binary?
Yeah. He starts having all these different flashbacks to earlier in her life. But then Tony starts to finally get blunt about why he's there, and he's worried about Carol starting to drink too much. That, of course, angers her. Of course, she's completely in denial. She turns into Warbird, starts pretty much threatening him to back off or else.
I think Warbird's probably her best costume. Just my opinion.
Yeah, I could definitely get behind that. Of course, here Tony's with
Pepper?
yeah, Tony's with Pepper. He's talking about the divorce that Pepper had with Happy Hogan. He's trying to repair that, but Pepper don't want no help, so he decides to leave that alone. Of course, Warbird ends up crashing in the office. Tony talks to a colleague. Of course, Warbird, likely drunk, starts accusing Tony of going back to Captain America and telling him that something's wrong with her. She feels threatened. She feels like she's about to get kicked out of the Avengers. But then Tony's able to talk some sense into her. But then
See, that's how they paste stories back then, kids. The pages stuck together.
yeah. But then the aliens crash into the building, and suddenly Iron Man and Warbird find themselves in a very bad situation that they have to fight their way out of. Of course, certainly doesn't help that Warbird's likely under the influence though. Then we see Century number 571 entering this whole situation. I must say, this art right here is superb. I love this. Then the battle wages on. Then Warbird starts getting angry. She starts feeling like she gotta prove herself. They end up fighting the aliens some more. But then, of course, something bad's about to happen. Iron Man ends up saving all the people from getting crushed, even though Warbird continues to go after the aliens. But then next thing you know, Warbird ends up getting captured. But then at the end, Tony Stark's friend starts pretty much realizing her business is gone now, and also she about to go to jail because she's being called a traitor now to her country and all that. And now Tony's also worried about what's gonna happen to Warbird as well. It's pretty much to be continued.
Not much Kree in Live Kree or Die, I must say.
Oh, but that's gonna change real soon. We're gonna review the other 3 issues too, by the way, all throughout the rest of this month.
Alright, so out of 5.
Oh, you know I'm giving this a 5. There's no question about it. This is great right here. I just think this is probably the best story about Carol Danvers to date that I've seen. I love how they starting to, at least during this time period anyway, starting to like delve into more mature subject matter.
I mean, Iron Man, Warbird, Giant Man, everyone on the Avengers was an alcoholic back in the 80s.
And Giant Man was too.
Yeah, that's why he was smacking the wasp around. Why do you think they call him the irredeemable Ant-Man?
Well, I must admit, I ain't really seen much of him in comics, at least not yet anyway.
Alright.
But I just think this story was superb. I love the artwork. I love where everything was going. I think it's a great part one to one of the best story arcs of all time. I think Marvel was superb. And I gotta say, when this came out, I think comic books, looking back on it now, I think comic books were kind of in a strange place. And things have gotten overblown in terms of artwork. And I think things was kind of murky in terms of story quality, even though 98 things are starting to come back around after their mid-90s period.
Mm.
I think Marvel especially was starting to come back around now that Onslaught crap was finished. I didn't like that one at all.
Alright, so just because we have a little bit of time left, why don't you tell the people about this issue of Wonder Woman, which is now the oldest one in your collection?
A couple weeks back, I was looking for the Punisher #1 from 1987, but I ended up going to Stories as a last-ditch effort to find it. That book was sold out summer everywhere I went. Unfortunately, Stories didn't have Punisher #1, but they had something better. I would soon find out, which of course is the comic book you've seen on that wall.
What issue is that?
Well, it's issue number 60. Actually, it was reprinted too in 1977. But
So,
go ahead.
so is that the reprint or is it the original?
Oh, it's the original.
And that's from, you said 1954?
No, 1953.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's older than my dad even.
Yeah. Only thing that's missing is the cover, but I wasn't gonna find one with the cover for under maybe $300 or $400, so I had to take what I could get.
Mm.
I ended up getting it for $27, and I couldn't pass it up. That's the oldest comic book in my whole collection.
Yep.
That's my proudest possession in terms of comic books right there.
Yep, I had a bit of a coup myself. I got, I don't know if you can see it, the last issue of Dope and Dan, which was a spin-off of the infamous Air Pirate Funnies. Just real short, they got sued by Disney back in the 70s, and the outcome of that Supreme Court case effectively fucked fair use even today.
Yeah. I don't really know much about that book at all, but I'm definitely glad you found something that makes you happy, make you proud to have.
Actually, a lot of the older guys that I work with, they recognize it, but they called him Doppelin Dan.
I'm glad y'all like the character. Maybe I might read it someday.
Yeah, it's very Beetle Bailey intentionally.
I know you always getting me to quote unquote try different things.
Yes. Although, yeah, Beetle Bailey. If we ever find any of those comics, you gotta review one of them. I like Beetle Bailey. He's funny.
Oh, okay. And what era is Beetle Bailey from?
Oh, it's still running, but yeah, it's like it's been around since. I think it's been around since the 40s, but he's only been in the army since the 50s.
Oh, okay. Well, who knows? Maybe I might review it. I mean, after all, that's what we're here to do, review comic books from the present and the past.
All right, final thoughts.
Oh, I am going to be doing this 5K on Sunday. I can't wait. I've been in the gym really training for it and doing all that running on the treadmill. I'm just real excited for it. I can't wait to do it. They're going to see who the real Wonder Woman is on Sunday.
And you're gonna do it in your Wonder Woman t-shirt, aren't you?
You know it.
All right. Anything else before we go?
No, I think that's about it for this week. Man, I'm glad we was able to do this again. We'll see you again next week. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Bye.